question is, whose then cultural psychology are you going to need? Whose cultural anthropology are you going to need? Whose cultural history are you going to need to be able to then break down film for an interest that's best for your heart? Yeah. And I say that we need this, an independent cultural foundation. Because would you say that we still need to be really independent as a people?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would agree that we need to be free from outside control, considering what we've seen with the social experiments and everything else, right? Not subject to another's authority, self-governing, not dependent on another for livelihood or substance. Livelihood, well, we've seen all the stuff about the banking and all the rest of it. So would you say we definitely need to be this?
Yeah.
Good. That means that if we need to be that needs to be the basis of our culture. We need an independent culture today. Culture meaning of or related to the culture of society. Culture, the systematic structure of achievement, development, intellectual growth. Culture comes from the same etymological root of the word refine. So now when someone says, oh yeah, this person's very cultured, they're saying they're very refined. Refine is made up of two aspects that make up the one word, the prefix, and means to go back to, and fine means a fine skill of achievement. Yeah, so that's the reason why someone say that's fine china, or that's fine art. You ever seen Frasier?
No, I haven't.
I've never seen Frasier?
No,
Okay. Well, if you did ever watch it, he's considered himself to be very cultured and refined. Very refined. Have you ever seen any episode of Frasier?
I never really got into it.
But if you now see...
I know it's one of your favourites.
Everyone that goes into his apartment, or say, oh my God, this apartment is lovely.
Yeah.
But do you know what he has throughout his whole apartment?
Yeah.
Nothing but African sculptures and arts.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I know you broke that down before.
And he considers himself to be refined.
Isn't that interesting?
And I always use, that's just a microcosm, the macrocosm to show that, well, you know, we can go through every aspect of what was considered to be a refined cultural expression of the West, and we will find that you are its root. They originally got it from you. Yeah? Whenever I throw out the word agriculture and ask people what does it mean, if anyone responds, most of the time people just say, well, not most of the time, every single time, I'm still waiting for someone to come with this other response. But people always say, oh, farming is farming. Never just say farming. Think it's the science of farming. See, it's understanding weather patterns. It's understanding seasons. It's understanding the nature. Remember we was talking about the shepherd and the sheep? So you got to understand, see that's husbandry. You understand the nature of the animal that you're dealing with. It's understanding the nutrients that are in the earth. And it's understanding the very nature of the plant. So if you understand the nature of it, then you know the environment it has to be in. You understand the type of sunlight, and then you've got moonlight it needs. You understand the level of water it needs, because I know your nature. So you can bring forth the best crops. And notice it's the word agriculture. The word culture's in there, because you cultivate. So our culture should have the same purpose or function. Culture is supposed to cultivate where you can harvest and bring the best out of you as an individual that reflects the cultural collective from whence you have come. We need that when we're looking at film and breaking down media. Because it's a cultural art form, is it not? Right. But if it's not representing us, that means that we need our own independent culture to be able to analyse it, because who is it then representing? And now foundation. A firm basis for building, an action for establishing an institution or organisation, an underlying basis or principle. Focus on that word institution. Because ever since we have been journeying, we've been going through our sojourn here in the West, here in Britain. As of yet, we have no black institutions. We've had black movements, and I thank those black movements, because if it wasn't for those black movements, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here. Some of those movements grew into organisations, and I thank those black organisations, because if it wasn't for those black organisations, I wouldn't be able to speak as I speak today. But as of yet, there's a last stage of evolution that's supposed to happen, and it's never happened. See, a movement is supposed to evolve and grow into an organization, and an organization is supposed to grow and evolve into an institution. And it's institution that gives you real social power.
Yeah, because it's
At best, there you go.
Immovable.
You know what?
It's rooted.
A movement can bring awareness and attention. An organization at best can be an annoyance. It can be an annoyance in a government or social power. It could be a thorn in their side. But nothing more than that. But an institution, you see, an institution only sits down and negotiates with another institution. Institutions don't sit down and negotiate with organizations. And they definitely don't negotiate with movements. But if you're an institution, they know you've got institutional power, as I've got institutional power. So we need to sit down and negotiate. Remember a few years ago when son of a Bush was in power, not Daddy Bush, the son of a Bush, and a spy plane, a spy plane crashed. An American spy plane crashed in Chinese waters, and the Chinese already captured it, and they captured the spies and Bush was maybe he was. People forget how Bush was, you know. It was a Trump. They forget. See, now people think Bush was good. But Bush was a wicked man. I mean, he was a cowboy. He was a cowboy. So I remember Bush was like, we want our plane back. And we're giving you 24 hours. And it was all that trying to turn around and said, why you say 24? Say 12. Okay, no, we want our plane back in 5. Why you say 5? Say 3. We want our plane back. We're not listening back. We want it back in 1 hour. Why not say 5 minutes? See what happens. Try to say. You think we are Iraq? We're not Iraq. We're not Iraq. I know what Bush has said. Okay, you can give it back when you're Institution.
What's that film from again? Sorry.
Oh, that's from Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
Was it
Raw?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So, institutions only bow down to other institutions. And you know, like, it's become a buzzword of the last few years. Oh yeah, institutional sexism in society, institutional racism in society. But if there's institutional sexism, how are you going to get rid of it? There's only going to be another institution that eradicates it. It's not going to be a woman's movement. It's not going to be a woman's organization. It's going to be an institution that now embodies and has in its person the power of womanhood. That now sexist male misogyny has to say, you know what? I can't mess with this. You know what? Boy, our corporate ladder has to compete with their corporate ladder. You understand? So if that's for womanhood, isn't it then also the same for nationhood? Then for black people in our race? If you're going to get rid of racism, you need our own institutions. Is Hollywood an institution? Right, if Hollywood's an institution, no matter how much people, I'm gonna protest against the Oscars, I'm not gonna go. I'm not saying don't do that. As far as I'm concerned, anything you do against the system I like. But just because I like it don't mean I believe that's a solution.
That's the solution, right.
But you know what? I'll back it. I'll support you. But don't think that that's the work done. I say that then if we're in agreement with that, you need an ICF. I've chosen my independent culture foundation. My ICF is to teach the Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad. That's my ICF. I don't care what ICF people choose, whatever. Whether choose Garvey, whatever. I don't care. But you need one.
You need your own.
My one. The reason why I choose that is because the Nation of Islam is set up like a government. It's black orientated for the initial reason of bringing equality and empowerment for black people, but then even beyond that, in its true understanding, you can see how it can be universal to bring justice, freedom, equality, and peace for the whole human family. And even though people be like, you say but they call white people devils, and you'll say, you know what? Sit down and let me teach you how. And even if you're Caucasian and I'm teaching you, I bet at the end of our conversation, when we leave, you would turn around and say,
I can get with that.
I can get with that. I totally understand where you men's now are coming from.
But
and you know
as long as you give me the opportunity to explain it, but you will.
And you will walk away understanding how this may not start off, but it will end up being universal for the whole human family.
The principles.
So that's my ICF. Without the see, look, I no film school has been. I have no degree after my name. I've done these presentations in various universities. I've done them for various teachers in media and all the rest of it. And I can say all praise is due to Allah, all praise is due to God. That when it comes to this, I feel so privileged and honored that I can say, like my teacher in front of him, you didn't make me.
You didn't make me.
But you're all bearing witness to this.
Yeah.
People like to call me a film doctor,
Yeah.
but I'm not doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not Dr. Hakim. I have no title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? None at all. I have no official title.
Yeah. But doctors have worked with you and respect with
But
you.
doctor, and I can list the doctors that have now.
So
I need to present.
I want to work
you.
with this brother. Doctors want to work with this brother.
So that's the reason why. So
Yes.
that's
Doctors.
so that's my ICF. The teacher
What,
was
top degree, PhD.
So, and it's been so it's those teachers I've been able to use to analyze media. All I've done today and all I'm doing today is just putting it in different language. But if I was to strip away again, unveil, if I was to take away all these nice little words that I'm using, all these nice little phrases that again that I've coined, and ICF I've coined, and the next one is coming. If I stripped all that away, I can put it right back into the language of the teachings of Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad. Because that's where it's come from. I just put it in this to make it now universal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So, that being said, if you formulate now an independent cultural foundation, this is what you need to take on board. This is what you need to develop it. This is your tool. You with me so far? If you now develop that tool, it allows you to develop this tool that I like to call your 3 C's. Cognitive celluloid conceptualization. Yeah?
Okay.
Break it down.
Man, Hakim, you had me, man. You had me. I was with you. And I'm like, I'm gonna go in and develop my ICF. Yeah, I like ICF, and it just sounds so snappy. ICF. That's good for me. I'm gonna go and develop it from tomorrow. Yeah. Copy, wala.
Everybody that done see that's the first thing like what? Hold on a minute. So don't worry. I did the same. I'm like, huh?
Right. So cognitive simply means the process of understanding, acquiring knowledge through thought, experience, and senses. That's all it means. And it means also just mastering your emotions. Look, how many times in your life have you ever made a decision purely based on your emotion and then the next day regretted it?
Every day.
Right. How many times have you made a decision based on your emotions where then you should have said something and you didn't?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you see, either way, there have been times when we've made decisions based on our emotions and said something we shouldn't have done. But there's have been times when we've based our thinking on our emotions and we should have said something and we didn't. So either way, see, emotional, basing our thinking on our emotions is not good. The way I like to see it is driving. Yeah. It's like, for instance, the petrol is the fuel for the car. Yeah, your emotions are your fuel for you. Yeah, but it's logic and reasoning that drives your car. As soon as you start driving purely on feeling, you're in trouble. Because if you now know, well, hold on, if I do a left, do a right, do left, do a right, under no uncertain terms, I know that's the quickest way for me to get to my destination, mate. But all of a sudden you say, oh, you know what? But I don't feel like it. That's the reason why knowledge is so important. Because it's the all the knowledge that we build up. Yeah, experience. It's about putting all our life experience together. So we got to think of ourselves as, well, what's my individual life experience and what's my people's life experience? And you bring all of that with you. With the knowledge that you purposely go out to study. Reading and studying are 2 different things. People read and think that they're studying.
That's right.
That's not studying. Studying is when you may be looking at just it could be just one specific aspect of, okay, black people are original. Okay. But I'm going to read 3 or 4 different sources that have 3 or 4 different views of black people being original people.
And each 4 are independent of each other.
There you go. And then do comparisons. Yeah?
To formulate your own.
I'm going to cross-reference. And then I'm going to use what I've read and apply it as much as I can to a real world situation to see what results come about. See, that's study. That's a scientist. Because now you can turn around and say, right, I've studied something. I've taken a subject, I've read from different sources, I've cross-referenced, and more importantly, I've actually then applied it to a real life situation to see what the result is. Now I can have a conclusion.
On that basis.
You see what I'm saying to you? You got to bring all of that with you. And the senses. What are your senses?
What your 5 senses?
Yeah. What are your senses?
Your sense of smell, feelings,
Right.
touch, taste.
Right. Okay. Good. Spicy to say feelings first, though. Okay.
Yeah. That was throwing me out.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's the 5. But isn't it amazing that again we've been managed in a society that have always told us 5, but no, it's more than 5.
There's more.
There's a sense of motion. We actually have a sense of movement. You ever heard this phrase before? That makes no sense. Where's the common sense? Because that deals with your sense of logic.
Right.
So that's a sense. Isn't it amazing? And that's really that's one of our first senses that we come into development with. But yet that's a sense that this world and elites don't want to let people know. You know, that's one of your senses.
That's so heavy.
The sense of logic. The sense
so
of reason.
heavy. That's so heavy.
But yet we use these terms every day. That makes no sense. But then that's because
they don't want you to focus on your common sense.
Exactly. That's
You've got
nonsense.
to take our sense and accept it.
There you go.
Don't use common sense. Don't use logic.
And there you go. So you see, like if we just the 5 senses, they're the things that interpret our world. That's how we navigate through life. But if we realise, oh, then I've got more than 5. Look what other realities are now going to be open up to us. Look how we navigate through life now. Look at the level of understanding we now have. We start to see realities that other people can't even see because you're using more than 5 senses. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. All of that you got to bring to film.
Unfortunately, in this day and age.
Celluloid. Look. Cinema is a genre, the technical term for cinematographic film, from the root word cellulose, a chemical in a cell, because in animation sometimes they will call the one frame a cell. They draw in, and I like to use the word celluloid because it comes from the same etymological root as the word cell, as in what's in us. So it's when we look at it's like when we look at the smallest component, cell that makes up the whole, and the whole that makes up the smallest component. That's how I like to look at film. That's how you must look at film now. Look at all the aspects that make up the one thing of film. So we've already started to go through it. The banking system, the institutional system, political system. So all of these systems make up the cell of film, just like a body cell, but just like that one cell also makes up that whole body of systems. Make sense? Right. And the last one, conceptualization. Philosophy, an idea or mental picture of a group or class of objects formed by combining all of their aspects. Conceptualization also comes from the same etymological root of the word to conceive. Hence, you can see the same grouping of the first part of that word as contraception. So if you now combine your ICF, which formulates your 3 C's, you will be giving birth to a new way to analyze media and film. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. You ever heard of the term cine perceptum?
Sorry?
Cine perceptum?
No.
Nah, you wouldn't have, because I made that shit up.
When you said that, I was thinking, I'm not familiar with him saying this and this. I thought, okay, I need to listen to this.
No, it's just to make it sound fancy. It's Latin. Cine, which means movement of picture. Perceptum is Latin for to perceive. So how you perceive cinema. So I just made that shit up, but it sounded really academic.
Right.
That's how white folks do it. They just make this shit up.
Right.
Where do we think all this stuff come from? One day, 3 white people sat around and said, I'm gonna make up an apology, some type of apology. What apology? Anthropology. What's that mean? I don't know, it sounds good. It's from the Latin. Anthro meaning, anthropology meaning, I'm gonna make up a study of it. And I'm gonna call it a science. You're in academia. Will you give me a citation for it? Yes. You're in academia, will you give me a citation for it? Yes.
Right.
That's all I needed was 2
Yeah.
citations.
Right.
Now it's an official.
Yes.
That's how they make this shit up.
Yes.
Oh, isn't that something?
You know what? I've got one brother that's an academic. He has cited my 3 C's.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I've got another brother, after the Black Panther breakdown, he contacted Dr. Les and said, Dr. Les, you know, can I cite your 3 C's? And he's like, that's not mine, that's Hakim's. And he's like, really, really, really? And so Dr. Les contacted me and said, look, this brother, he's doing a PhD and he wants to cite your stuff because he came to the breakdown and stuff. And I'm like, cool. He said, look, you thought it was mine, but I said to him, no, it's not, it's Hakim's, wherever. So I said, cool. So I've already got 2 now, and no, his paper, when you do the route he's going, and it's published and what have you. So there's going to be 2 published papers already. So I think all I need is 1 more, and all of a sudden it's an academic term.
Oh.
Make up your shit.
Yeah.
Just make up your shit. One day there could be, I don't know, Steven Spielberg is sitting there with a class of students, and someone talks about the 3 C's, rah rah rah, and little do they know they're talking about Elijah Muhammad. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? This is how important it is to engage your 3 C's. Yeah. Listen very carefully. Like I keep telling people, cinema is socially scientific. Again, this is not no conspiracy crazy person. Just listen to what is applied in film. You ready?
Yeah.
Right.
Irreversible. Don't be ashamed if this controversial 2002 French film makes you want to curl up in the fetal position. Critic Roger Ebert gave the movie 3 stars, but also called it so violent and cruel that most people will find it unwatchable. He was right, but it wasn't just the brutality that overwhelmed audiences. There was also a scientific explanation for their abhorrence. Director Gaspar Noé added low-frequency background noise to the soundtrack of his revenge thriller. Though such extreme bass waves are inaudible to humans, the BBC reported that infrasound can induce anxiety, extreme sorrow, heart palpitations, and shivering.
The BBC. So even though audibly you can't hear it, but your senses of hearing can pick it up. You can't, so you know, like a dog whistle, you can't hear it, but that doesn't mean
That it's not being picked up.
it's not being picked up and vibrated in your ears. And they discovered it has this type of effect on you. So they put this behind the soundtrack of the film. I remember, it ain't no conspiracy. The BBC done a report. They discovered it.
Yeah.
Right.
Naturally occurring infrasound has been associated with areas of supernatural activity, as well as being produced prior to natural disasters such as storms and earthquakes. Our response to certain kinds of noise is something so profound in us that we can't.
So
Can't switch it off.
so imagine if you're in an earthquake or something like that. How are you going to feel anxious and anxiety? So they put that in there so when you watch the film, you feel the same level of anxiety as if you're personally experiencing an earthquake or a natural disaster. This is science. So remember, if they've revealed that they do, imagine what they're not revealing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the reason why ICF and 3Ds are really important, man. Because you got to be doing the revealing for yourself. Can you keep fathoming the depths?
Switch it off, science writer Philip Ball
Can't
told the
switch it off.
BBC. Film composers know that and use it to shortcut the logical part of our brain and get straight to the emotional centers.
Whoa.
The Paranormal Activity franchise and
See,
other
that freezes
horror
it
movies
for-
have
yeah, that
allegedly
cognitive
used this
brain.
tactic as well. So the next time you're watching a movie between your fingers, don't fault your courage. Blame the fear frequency.
Oh my days.
You see why I said we see why you need them tools now?
Yeah.
You see why those tools are so important? Right. Here is a film critic and reviewer, and also he's also an author as well, a film writer, and he's on a political show, a religious and political show that used to come on a Sunday.
Okay.
And the two hosts or presenters of the show they're actually BBC One news journalists. So you got to think, news journalists on a political religious show, why are they talking to this guy about film? Well, what's film? What's so important about film and religion? See, they understand the importance of film and religion and politics. Listen to what he says. The Indiana Jones film. You seen Indiana Jones? You seen those type? You know the films, though, right? So, but listen now when what he says these things stand for. And remember, he's talking to journalists that are qualified in areas of politics and religion, And look at what their responses are.
This startled me.
Well, let's not give away the story, but the I think.
Right. I thought it was all to do with an adventure.
Well, it's an adventure. It's an adventure on a quest. It's a quest for something. But what are they questing for? They're questing for treasure. But different characters in the film view treasure in different ways. So you've got Mac, who is Indy's partner. He views treasure as money. That's what he's after. Then there's Irina, the Soviet. She views treasure as power. But interestingly, she thinks that power comes through knowledge. Well, that's very interesting. And then you've got Indy, who's clearly on a progression through the other 3 films to this film, who sees treasure, yes, as relationships. And that
But now look, you're losing me now. I enjoyed the film, but now you've explained it, I'm not so sure.
Remember, they're supposed to be intelligent. Remember, they've got degrees in journalism and religious studies. So imagine the poor masses of people. And he's just giving a simple film breakdown. See, he's the white Hakim.
Right.
He ain't even gone deep yet. He's just said, look, in them Indiana Jones films, this character represents this character represents that, this character represents, you know what, it's knowledge. Right, you lost me now.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
Keep watching. He gets real.
Isn't that the problem? You can be too intellectual about it. Ah, yes, that means this.
Do you know how many times I've heard that?
With you.
I'm sorry,
people work
that
at different
really
levels.
gets on my nerves. When people say things like that,
Enjoy the
oh,
film.
just enjoy the film, you're going too deep. What's wrong with you? It's just entertainment. I mean, like, you know, when I hear that, you know what, now I get to a point where I just say, you know what, okay, cool. And I just leave it. I just don't bother.
Yeah,
I don't bother.
because it's like, you know what, see, this film was actually made for you then.
Yeah.
This film was made for you. Because it's looking for a dumbed down
Yeah,
audience.
it needs,
It needs you.
Yeah. As a journalist, you
As a
should be
journalist.
more inquisitive. Well, what do you mean? Okay, come on.
And
give me
again,
some
that's
more.
the reason why I think that this is all part of the agenda of just dumbing down the masses.
Dumbing down the masses.
So people that
so
are watching
he
this,
could be in on it then. to
right?
dumb
So
down the
people that are
masses.
watching this can be like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
you're being too smart.
Right.
How can you be too smart?
Yeah.
How can you be too? What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah. No,
To
no,
see
that
the
makes
dumb
sense.
world that we're living in. You're too intelligent.
Yeah, too smart.
That's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. You're too How can you be too intelligent?
Yeah, that's
There
it.
can only be you're not intelligent enough.
Yeah.
But look at the world. We're living in a world where journalists are telling the public this is too intellectual.
Yeah.
This is too much using
Yeah.
brains and knowledge.
Yeah, you know
It's too
what?
much.
See, as you mentioned that, as you said, well, they're journalists. No, you know what? They're playing the game. They're just playing the game. He knows better. The journalist knows better. So no, I take that back. He knows better, but he's playing to the corporates behind him. No, we have to keep it. Don't. No,
Keep it dumbed down,
Keep
man.
it dumbed down.
Keep it dumbed down.
No, you're too intelligent. Are you reading too much into it? Is that all right? Is that all right? Cool. Yeah, you read too much.
Yeah, it's got the earpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
earpiece. No,
Yeah.
wait, you better shut them on.
Yeah. Time shut them up.
Okay. You want to keep your job?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's too intellectual.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You
Yeah.
can work for another month.
Okay. Woo!
Remember who watches us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all of that.
You cannot wake up the people.
Yeah.
Was on it, and I think that the key is to be able to give people the tools to be able to think at the level which is appropriate for them. So yeah, some people will see some little things in film, others will see bigger things in those. But I think it's a danger if we say, well, I'm just going to watch the films and not think about the messages.
All right, well, give us some
we absorb
examples
them.
of characters, though, with a moral message.
Well, of course, the big film that comes out this week on Thursday is the next one in the Chronicles of Narnia series. We saw and enjoyed Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and now we've got Prince Caspian. And this tells great stories, written, dramatised wonderfully, I think, from the books, and written by C.S. Lewis, who...
Was a serious guy.
He was a great philosopher, and there was a clip you just saw there of the rescue of Trumpkin, who was being bound up and held captive, and then they dropped him, and the children rescued him. And rescue was a great theme for C.S. Lewis. We saw it in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the concept of Aslan dying for Edmund so that he could be set free, but it's followed through in this.
Okay. Are you going to get asked the last question?
The last question,
Oh.
if you could choose,
Yeah, go on. You were the last.
if you could use a character with a sort of moral message or for the world, what would it be? What would your favourite one be?
I love it.
That's an interesting question. One moral character. Well, I think the one. I mean, I see so many films. You see, that's the thing. I
You just
so many.
spoiled
Too many. Too many, probably. Anyway, give us
Especially in this
one good
I think
slogan.
the story, one good slogan.
One good
A
slogan.
slogan that everyone remembers, of course, is the slogan "May the Force be with you." And the question I think for people is what is that force, or who is that force?
Goodness me, you've ruined the thing now. I thought they were just movies. Thank you very much.
Right. Still to come on some.
They just move.
Love it. May the force be with you. The question is, what is that for?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
who is
Is
that?
that for?
See, he knows.
Yeah, yeah.
He knows.